Hi, I'm Niki Burdett. I'm an Instructional Media Specialist at Grand Prairie ISD. I am a certified librarian, but I also do technology integration.
All right, welcome to the show, Niki. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really enjoying the conference and a little nervous about presenting a little bit later today.
Are you really presenting? Okay, on what?
I am presenting on the gamification of research for about 4th and 5th graders, which is what the grade levels I'll be talking about today.
Okay, well, you're going to do just fine. I'll tell you that right now.
Thanks.
Okay, now how long have you been in education? Give us your educational background, if you don't mind.
Okay, so I just finished year 17. I was in the classroom for 9 years between kinder, 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
Okay.
And then I became an instructional media specialist 8 years ago. I think my math is correct there. And I have, in the IMS position, I have ranged from pre-K to seniors. So
Okay, all right.
got them all, love them all.
All right, awesome. So you, 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It makes me think about my education, and I think this is year 22 for me.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's hard to keep track at some point.
I know, right? Yeah. All right. So currently you've got a position that's kind of a hybrid, if we want to call it that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So talk to us about video announcements. I mean, when I think of video announcements, I think of Safari Montage.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell?
No.
No? Okay. It's basically a platform that we used to use. You had to have a server at a campus and things like that. But the days of housing servers and that are kind of over. And now everything seems to be web-based as far as production and that. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about how long you've done that video production and what it entails.
Okay. So let me think. I've done it, I guess, 6 of my 8 years as an IMS. And I started... I kind of inherited a program whenever I switched schools. So the video production was running with actual video cameras and video cards. It's going into what they called the Big Mac.
Okay.
And the kids were using iMovie on the Mac to sit and do the editing. So I would put out an application. Kids would write why they wanted to be a part of video production. It was a really big deal at this school.
So they had to apply.
They had to apply because so many people wanted to be a part of this. And it was done during recess, so you had to be really committed. You could choose to do it every day or twice a week or whatever. But, there were the kids like me who were like, I do not want to go to recess. I would do anything to not go to recess.
Okay.
I was that kid.
That was you.
I was that kid, yes. But anyways, they would apply, and then I would go through the applications. They would have to have a teacher recommendation as well. And then they would come in and interview because I needed to hear from them. I needed to see them and know that they could speak well and speak up and not get too just afraid of the camera.
Yeah.
But then I also had my kids that were not wanting to be in front of the camera. They wanted to be behind the camera.
The production.
Or they wanted to be the editor. And so I would have different groups. I'd have my editors, I'd have my videographers, and I would have my news crew. So it was basically news crew plus video production. They would all form everything together. So it was just different names for different things. So whenever they would come in, they would go and they would grab their cameras, they would go out and record, and then they would come back in and upload their stuff to the computer. How they knew what to record was that I kept trying to hand this over to a kid, and it just never became as fruitful as I needed it to be, which was putting the script together. And so there was no direct script, but it would say, like, who's filming for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We would film in advance, and it would have, like, what are the lunches, what's the weather, what's the birthdays, everything listed out. And then they would, of course, create their own spin on everything whenever they were recording. So we would get to the point where they were just trusted to go somewhere in the school, record, make sure everyone in the school knew what they were doing and when they were doing it. And if they saw my video production crew out anywhere in the school, they would know to get really quiet, to not walk in front of the camera. Like, this was just a thing known in the school because this was just a club everyone wanted to be of, and everybody knew about. Like, kinder through third graders just were itching to get into fourth grade so that they could be a part of video production. And I am not taking credit for that aspect of the culture of that. The previous person before me really built up that culture and really handed me an incredible club to then take on, which I hope I did.
I'm gonna stop you right there because you're being a little humble. But I'm gonna tell you what happens when if I was to start something like podcasting or something at a campus, and I built it up and then I handed it over to somebody. Don't quote me. I didn't do any research on this, but 9 times out of 10, it would probably fail or it would scale down in a negative way. Okay,
that's valid.
Okay. But what you did seemed to grow on it naturally. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you did.
Okay.
You did do that, and you did it well because it's still going on. Mm-hmm. Your name is kind of associated with it when they think of that. I'm assuming when they think of that media class, they think of you automatically, whether it be teachers, whether it be students. So let's just cut the humble. Okay,
fine.
You took that program and you said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you for giving me the reins. Let's take it to the next level.
I'm amazing.
There you go. There you go. That's what I wanted to hear.
But that's just what we do in education.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing that we have to stop and realize that I did something well. And it's okay for me to, for lack of a better term, brag or be proud of what I did, So I got to pat you on the back.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I can imagine being in 4th grade or 5th grade. I'm assuming, did you guys have badges or everybody just knew who the crew was?
They just knew who the crew was.
Okay. All right.
And once you were in 4th grade and you moved to the 5th grade, they were
the seniors kind of.
They were the seniors.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
They got to teach the 4th graders. So we did make sure that the 5th graders were then teaching the 4th graders. And then they were growing in and we had a continuous cycle of those mentoring the next group. Okay,
the first thing that pops into my mind, you said you'd been doing this 7 out of the 8 years, right?
Yeah, 6, 7. Yeah.
6 or 7, okay. Yeah. So by doing the math, I'm not very good at math, but I mathed in my head right now.
Okay.
What happened during COVID?
Okay, that's good math.
Okay, all right.
Okay, yeah. So that got really interesting, but because it was the 4th quarter. So even my 4th and 5th graders had already been trained in everything they needed to do, except they didn't have their video cameras at school.
At home.
Or at home, yes, Thank you, at home. And they did have their iPads. So the quality was not necessarily the
video quality.
The video quality. The audio quality, of course, was fine as long we didn't have the mics and there was a number of things. So they did have to learn, like, you need to speak up, and we had to talk about, like, what's in your background and all of that, which
I remember those days.
Oh yeah. But they already knew these things from school. They knew about backlighting. If it was backlit, you were doing it all over again. Like, they knew the term backlighting.
Kind of like what we have going on back here. Yeah, it's.
But look at the ocean.
But you can't not get a shot of the ocean in the background, right? That's the Gulf of Mexico right there. Yeah. All right.
So, anyways, they did have to kind of learn some of the little things about
the nuances.
The nuances. That's a great word.
That's a great
Thank
word.
You. But what we did was we continued using Google Drive, is where they would drop all of their clips, and then my editors would download those, put them together in iMovie, and re-upload them to that folder. So we had already had an organization of Google Drive folders of, this was for the week of, April 22nd. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday folders. everyone would know exactly, it would be labeled in our Google Doc of who was recording what. You would drop it into that folder for that week, and then my editors would go take all of the pieces, put it together, and then upload the finished product. Once that upload was done, then I would go and put it on our YouTube page.
Okay. All right. So you had a system.
Oh, we had a system.
You had a definite.
And it was already there before COVID. It was just a difference of, was it coming from a video card, or was it coming just directly uploaded from the iPad?
Okay. All right. Interesting. That's pretty cool that you were able to accomplish that during COVID. And the video announcements just went to YouTube, and then they just...
And that's where they had already been. And we had it
so
linked on our website.
Change.
Nope, not a whole lot changed.
Okay.
That process was really already kind of in the cloud already. And so my editors already knew what they were doing. Now they didn't get to work together as groups. They didn't have someone holding the camera and someone, checking the lighting and the angling and all of that. They were having to regulate themselves on everything they were doing. They'd have to go and listen to it and make sure that their audio was, that their dog wasn't barking in the background or, all of those things that we experienced on Zoom.
Yes. There's a couple of things that jump out to me. Number one, we can get to this later, but I'm going to plant that seed in your head right now so you can start thinking about it. I want you to think of your, I hate to, for lack of a better term, your worst moment with that program, something that went wrong or what have you. So kind of just start thinking about that, filtering that through your head right now. The other thing is, if there's any teachers who are listening who are maybe going to be, there's gnats everywhere.
They're not on this side
They're
of
not
the
on
table.
Oh, shots fired in my direction. Okay. All right. I had them yesterday too. And the guests also complained to the nets. So they were on that side yesterday. So I will say that. But if there's any teachers who are listening or maybe watching a video clip or something, and they're thinking, I just was told at the end of last year, literally last week, if not this week, that I'm going to be in charge of the morning announcements or video production for our YouTube channel, for our weekly weather report or what have you, and I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. What are some key pieces of advice that you would give those individuals so that they can hit the ground running, do some research this summer, and obviously listen to this podcast episode and feel a little bit more confident coming out of the gate in August?
I would say planning is key, of course, but knowing exactly what you're know what your end product is going to look like beforehand. But actually, I'm going to go back on that. Well,
sounds like the nets are on your side of the table.
Okay. Some more shots fired. Anyways, okay, so one thing I did is whenever, at the beginning of the school year, I would make a template of our video. And so...
The video project.
Of the project
what
in
platform?
iMovie.
iMovie.
We would use
okay,
iMovie. Now, I do have to say that there was one year where I had one of my editors was like, I'm over iMovie. Like, I need something else. Like, I need...
Okay.
And I had a personal Final Cut Pro. So she got going on Final Cut Pro. It was really impressive.
Fifth grade?
Fifth grade. Yeah.
Wow. Alliteration. Fifth grade Final Cut Pro.
There you go. So, and then she, of course, everyone else saw what she was doing and they wanted to learn. And so Final Cut kind of became more of our program of choice. But I understand it's a very expensive
Yeah, it's
one.
very expensive, and it has to be put probably on a personal machine.
Actually, we had it on our Big Mac.
Okay.
Anyways. So going back to the template or the skeleton, I would have them film an intro, maybe of them walking into the school and waving hi and all of that. We would make sure we already knew what music we were going to use. I would have my title cards ready and all of that. And we changed our title cards once a month, and our music once a month.
Just to change it up?
Just to change it up. I would use, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, jamendo.com.
Okay.
To get
royalty-free music.
Royalty-free music. And so we would get music from there. I would make title cards in Canva, or they would make them in Google Slides, just said like today's birthdays are, or what's for lunch, or
I see what you're saying. Okay.
things like that. And so it would be a new theme every month. So just having like the title cards and all of that already lined up in iMovie to begin teaching the kids. And then at the beginning, all they have to do is drag and drop those clips in between the title cards. You've already got the music, the fade in, the fade out, all of that as the teacher in the beginning.
Okay.
So the kids start to build it as you go. You know,
Yeah.
it's a scaffolding and I do, you, we do, you
I
do.
do, we do, you do.
Yeah, and all of that. But in the beginning, have your template, your skeleton.
Okay.
And so they can drag and drop.
And
then,
for those people who don't know what a template or a skeleton is, it's basically the video project, like an iMovie, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, whatever WeVideo, whatever program you would like to use, and you have your sequential shots with your layers on your tracks of, here's where our intro B-roll is going to be of the kids walking or the bell ringing, and having those shots, and then the title cards and kind of thing, and then the music and things like that, and all the effects that go along with it. Mm-hmm. That way the kids just drag and drop the blocks, if you want to call them,
initially,
onto the timeline.
Yeah. And so we would start with drag and drop. We would we would also make sure that they were trimming the ends, especially when they were filming at home, because they would need to set up their shot, walk back,
walk away,
go back and hit, pause or stop. And so, but they had already known about trimming at that point in the school year. But those are like the beginning things I started to do. And then they would go into transitions, and then they would go start maybe making their own title cards, or they would find their own music, and it just kind of built from there to where in the end they were making everything from scratch. Each month they would make their new skeleton, and then drag and drop from there. But at the beginning of the year, I would make the template. Okay,
so tip to teachers who are going to be tasked with this project: make your skeleton. Mm-hmm. Make your template in whatever video program you're going to be using. All right. You got a teacher who says, I'm going to be doing this. I'm not sure what to buy. I saw these $1,000 cameras and, these boom arm microphones and things like that. Which one should I get? What is your advice to someone just starting off the program like this?
Honestly, I would say use whatever your kids already have.
There you go.
Use whatever your kids already have. You don't need any fancy anything. When they were at home, they were using their iPad with iMovie, even though some of them were very sad to not have their Final Cut Pro on the Big Mac. I was like, sorry, you're going back to iMovie. We're a one-to-one district, and every kid had their iPad, and everything was, essentially free. iMovie's free on there. The camera, just everything. YouTube. We were rocking and rolling.
With an iPad, you have camera. Mm-hmm. You have
GarageBand, yeah.
GarageBand.
Yeah.
Which can clean up your audio. And then you also have iMovie, and you have a built-in microphone. Mm-hmm.
But the GarageBand thing reminded me is I would have kids go in and create music in GarageBand, and we would use that in our as
your
our
intro, pre-roll kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So we made some of them completely from scratch. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
And I still want to touch upon that worst experience, that fail. You are officially on the EdTech Bites podcast. This show is about breaking bread while we chat. So I made a stop this morning to literally break some bread.
Excellent.
From a local donut shop, Dawn Donuts. A big shout out to Dawn Donuts. They are not sponsoring this show yet. I'm gonna work on that for next year for ETC. So, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
There's something comforting about a donut.
Is it coconut?
No. I wouldn't eat if it was coconut.
I'm getting coconut.
There's five foods this dude doesn't do.
Okay.
One of them at the very top of the list is coconut.
Interesting.
Can't do it.
There's a little island flair on that donut right there.
You put that in my head, and now I'm going to be thinking if there indeed was coconut. Okay, now let's go back to, worst experience, or let's just say a fail with something.
Oh gosh.
But you have to, if those of you who are listening might think, oh God, fails. I don't want that to happen. But that's where we learn. That's where the majority of the learning and those learning experiences take place. Can you recall a moment where something just didn't go right? Internet went out, cameras just didn't record, something like that.
So,
and you can't say COVID.
No. I would have times where kids were not submitting things, and I would have to make them up on, myself and just get it going. Sorry, I'm having to record this, and we just went with it. We'd also do joke of the day, and the kids would submit jokes in the library. Oh gosh, some of those were awful. And then the kids were like, you never did my joke. I'm like, that wasn't a joke. And also, that was a lot of potty humor.
Okay. All right. So they went a little too far.
They would go a little too far, or just absolutely not be a joke at all. Okay, so
no punchline.
No punchline. Yeah. No, I mean first graders were like.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Okay, so my kids would get to go outside to record if they wanted to.
All right.
And we had a recycling crew that we would pull all the recycling in the morning. But my kids went out to go record, and one of my kids had the mic on, and it was not plugged into the pack. And so this is pre-COVID when we had we had the actual cameras, we had the clip-on mics, all of that. Yeah.
The lavaliers, as we call them.
Lavaliers, thank you. It's been so long. I'm not kidding. I could not come up with that word because it's literally been so long since I've had to use them. So it wasn't plugged to the pack, and they realized that, and they were trying to plug it in, and it came undone from their shirt. At the same time, they got tangled in it. They flung their hand. It flew into the giant recycling dumpster.
Oh my gosh!
We didn't have very many of those. So
dumpster dive?
She did.
Yes.
She
did. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
I have pictures.
You have pictures.
Yes. Of we got
this young lady deserves a round of applause. It was a young lady, right?
It was.
Okay. All right. She realized what she did, said, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Jumped into the old recycle bin.
Yeah. I don't remember how we got her in there.
Or getting her out, too. Well, I guess she could have climbed out, depending on how high.
Yeah, she was able to stand on stuff to get out. But I don't remember how we got her in. But she saved it. And so, I'd have to say that was one of our biggest fails, and probably one of the biggest things my kids still talk about when they see me.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'll share mine because you were so vulnerable enough to share yours. I'll share mine.
Okay.
I was doing some podcasting at ISD 2023 in Philadelphia last year. I did some paid work with some companies. I think we were 12 minutes into it. I never hit the record button. So I saw it. I saw the light green, and I had that cold feeling come over me. And I cut her off, and I said, I apologize. I hate to do this, but I just realized that I didn't hit record. So we had to go back, start the conversation, and I had to pretend I was hearing stuff for the first time. But it naturally, it flowed a little more naturally because at the moment, in real time, I responded and reacted with certain questions in that, and I thought, I should have asked her this, but it was perfect because when we actually hit record, I got to ask what I wanted to ask. So that is my fail moment, and that was one of those paid ones. So I was like, oh, she was talking, and I just remember going, I'm sorry, I forgot to hit record. So that's something I learned.
Yes.
And I will never do that again.
Oh, I'm sure my kids did that several times. I just wouldn't know. But man, when they would have it recording, and then they'd just put all of their footage into that Google Drive, and I could see everything. You'd be like, guys. I know I let you go anywhere in the school and record.
Yeah.
But remember, you're still recording.
Oh gosh, I'm like, I could imagine.
Because I would walk around the halls and keep an eye on them, and because I'd have like 3 different teams in different places. I'd walk around and make sure they were doing what they needed to be doing, and you'd hear them going, oh, "She's coming, she's coming, she's coming." I'm like, guys.
Oh gosh.
And I would tell them, I'm like, guys, you know, I can see all this footage. I
Yeah.
see it all, and they would still forget. And I'm like, she's coming, she's coming.
Yeah, 4th and 5th graders. You got bless their hearts.
They're
Bless
great.
their hearts.
They're great. And of course I got to pick, the cream of the crop, the best of the best.
Yeah.
They had to be well behaved and
That's pretty cool.
have it
That's
all
pretty
together,
cool.
yeah.
Well, Niki, how can people connect with you on social media and all the stuff on the internet?
All the internets. On X I am, or Twix, if you will.
Twix. Big shout out to Carl Hooker for introducing me to that term.
I think I just learned that yesterday. But I am Librarian Chic on X, and then on Instagram, what am I? Tech Talk EDU.
Okay. All right.
On Instagram and TikTok.
There you go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, all that information is going to be in the show notes. Don't worry about pulling over, stopping your jog or your walk to try to write this information down or throw it in your Apple Notes or your Google Keep. Don't worry about that. Information with links to all of Niki's socials and that will be on the show notes. That way you can click, that way you can connect. And if you are interested in starting audio video production and things like that at your elementary campus, middle or high, and you're not sure what to do, how to do it, I'm pretty sure if you connect with Niki, she can kind of get you guys set up and set you up for success. And just remember, there are going to be bumps along the road. There are going to be those fail moments. There are going to be those dumpster dives. There's going to be that I forgot to hit record, or I lost the file when that gets deleted.
Been there.
Yeah. So it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and what you're going to do to bounce back. So, Niki, thank you. I appreciate everything that you're doing in our educational space, everything that you're contributing to our educators and our students, first and foremost. Thank you for everything you do. I hope you enjoyed the conference. I hope you enjoyed being a guest on the show. First
Absolutely.
podcast, right?
Yes, thank you for having me.
That net is... It must be the mousse in my hair. It's just,
your hair
it's all over
it's
it.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just glistening with the sun. So I appreciate you. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your conference. And thanks again for connecting.
Yeah, thank you.